So recently there's been a trend I came across called the Mount Rushmore trend, which for those of you who are uneducated is based on the Mount Rushmore historical monument in Washington, USA, and it represents the heads of 4 American presidents who are arguably the most important presidents in American history. But the trend involves choosing a specific category or form of media and creating your own Mount Rushmore with the 4 most impactful people involved in that thing you've chosen. Common examples of this trend include the Mount Rushmore of Minecraft content creators, the Mount Rushmore of YouTubers, there's one for esports players, there's one for games, and there's probably one for VTubers or even gay adult film actors in which Billy Harrington and Leatherman better be involved in it or it's completely inaccurate. If you know, you know.
Hey buddy, I think you got the wrong door. The leather club's 2 blocks down.
Fuck you.
Ah, fuck you, Leatherman.
But there was one more version of this trend which was much more popular and started many debates, and that was the streamer Mount Rushmore. Even the CEO of Twitch himself, Dan Clancy, got involved, and his version was somewhat accurate. But we all know if he was to answer honestly, with him having the gooner reputation he does, all of the faces on his Mount Rushmore would have been people out of the Twitch hot tub or just chatting section. But the most obvious and common entries on that list usually involved Kai Cenat, iShowSpeed, Ninja, and either XQC or someone like Trainwrecks.
Just because I had a dream of being pounded in the ass and I was aroused when I woke up doesn't make me gay. It was hot, okay? A big ass 6'5" werewolf looking guy with huge muscles bear hugged me and I was just face against the glass.
With some other variations including Joe Bart, Forsen, Jinxie, Asmongold, and some other streamers. And this was mainly a debated topic because are you just putting these streamers on your list because you watch them and you're biased, or because they're popular, and did they really impact streaming all that much? Yes, for a completely subjective trend, you had to provide a college thesis with multiple references in IEEE formatting as to why these streamers are on your Mount Rushmore and what they did to impact streaming, and if you couldn't, your submission was obviously false. But then again, anyone that puts streamers like Rakai on their list immediately disqualifies themselves. I don't care what you say. However, with all that said, there are 2 streamers in particular that I saw were included on many Rushmores, specifically by the old heads of the streaming space, and many would cite these 2 as the founding fathers of streaming. The first one commonly mentioned was the late streamer Wreckful, who was described as a pioneer within the streaming space primarily for being one of the first notable people just to stream for fun, with the purpose of entertaining people and being more personal with his audience. He was also known for popularizing things like donating directly to streamers and IRL content. And the other person mentioned along with Wreckful is someone that was actually friends with Wreckful, and that was Sodapoppin. Now, Sodapoppin, like Wreckful, did somewhat change the streaming space. He wasn't put on many of these Rushmores for no reason. But the thing he was mainly known for was being a complete fucking idiot for nearly 2 decades.
But what makes you so special? Because I walked past your table 2 days ago, and there were like 40 people just staring at you.
Yeah.
They didn't look at your screen, they just looked at you.
I guess I'm so stupid. I make people feel like, oh, you know what? At least someone in the world is dumber than me.
Yeah.
It's me.
Oh, you're that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy.
Ah.
Alright, and Black Man took my gold. So, alright, I'm broke. To be too honest, sometimes I watch some anime, right? And I'm like, this is really hot. But sometimes I'm like, Chance, this isn't real.
Please tell the maidens you may refer to you now as someone.
Get soda a gay. When I say soda, you say gay.
See? But most of all, I love VR and their tight anime. I haven't seen, touched, or talked to a girl in over 2 years.
I bench press 5,000
Yeah,
pounds.
it's kind of good.
There it is,
but
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know, you're wet.
I'm gonna ask you to
This is Sodapoppin or Chance Morris, someone that has been streaming since 2008, and it's honestly amazing that this guy still streams to this day, considering the things he's said and done on his stream that still follow him around to this day, and the fact that everyone around him has been involved in countless controversies. And then there's also the fact he's dating a VTuber, which is fucking disgusting. But today we're going to be going over who Chance is, how he participated in the evolution of streaming, some of the drama, and how he got to where he is today. So Thomas Jefferson Chance Sodapoppin Morris, before he was named the King Twink of Twitch, he had somewhat humble beginnings. He was born on February 15th, 1994 in Austin, Texas, USA, becoming the youngest of the family with 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Now Chance basically grew up on the internet and around games, but there was one game that would change his life significantly when his dad brought it home around 2003 along with Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, which was for him and his older brother. But Chance wasn't allowed to play that game first, it was his older brother's turn, so in the meantime he played the other game his father brought home, which him and his brother weren't originally interested in, and this was Warcraft 3. And even when it was his turn to play Wolfenstein, he still continued to play Warcraft. He was around 8 years old around this time, and he had just found his black tar heroin that he'd be hitting constantly for the years to come. When he was 10, the highly anticipated World of Warcraft was set to be released in 2004, but Chance was already hooked on the game because his friend's dad had early access to it because he was a playtester. However, Chance could only play on the weekends because his parents wouldn't allow him to go over on weekdays to play it, but the authority of his parents apparently wasn't enough to stop his WoW addiction, because Chance would sneak out during weekdays and bike miles on his niece's pink bicycle with training wheels to his friend's house just so he could play the game.
I couldn't play WoW during the week, so I would ride my bike to his house, where his dad played World of Warcraft even. But it was embarrassing because I had to ride my niece's bike when I was riding my bike there, and when I say my niece's bike, it was bad. It actually had training wheels on it, but I broke them off with a hammer. I didn't break them off. I bent them to the point where they weren't touching the ground. Here we go. It was very similar to this.
Eventually, when he was in high school, he was able to play WoW on his own computer, but only after he convinced his mother to pay for the subscription because she didn't trust online transactions, which is understandable. This was around the time when things like online payments were pretty new and untrusted.
My mom didn't trust anything online, but it's just the fact that you had to put in your credit card info, she didn't trust it. She agreed that she would take the risk of putting in her credit card info to pay for my $10 a month WoW subscription. In exchange, I have to give her $60 a month. How'd you have that? I did chores. I had to clean the dance studio, clean toilets. There's a dance studio, and all the girls were on their fucking periods all the time, so it's just fucking gross.
Chance would continue to play World of Warcraft throughout high school. He was a part of a guild and played almost daily when he could. But one day in 2008, he saw one of his guildmates doing something called live streaming. He was recording his World of Warcraft gameplay live for the rest of the guild to see. And a 15-year-old Chance saw this and thought, he could also do that. But keep in mind, this was before YouTube was a big thing and way before live streaming was commonplace, down to the fact there was very few websites you could stream yourself just playing games. But Chance would start live streaming that same year on a website that no longer exists called Xfire. It's unclear if he went under the username Sodapoppin around this time, but that name would soon be the thing everyone knew him by. The origins of his name is also unknown. It ranges from someone in his stream telling him to add soda to his original name Poppin, to internet slang at the time, where Sodapoppin refers to taking a flaccid penis and inserting it into a 2-liter bottle of soda, waiting for it to get hard, and then pulling the bottle away, leading you to bust. You know what? Knowing Sodapoppin, that's probably the origins of that name. Regardless, from his first stream, Chance already had somewhat of an audience, because he was the only one on the website at the time streaming gameplay along with a face cam, and a lot of his guild members would also tune in whilst they were doing things like raids, resulting in him apparently receiving over 100 active viewers on his first stream alone.
So I'm like, let's just live stream on Xfire. So I live streamed on there. It's like, woo, woo! I was pretty good at World of Warcraft at the time, so I got a lot of viewers because of that, and no one else streamed, so they had no one else to watch. Plus, I was like the only one with a webcam, so like, they had to come to me, right?
Also around this time, through World of Warcraft, he'd meet someone that would later become his lifelong friend. And that person was Nick Pollum, or as he's known on Twitch, NMPLOL, who would basically be along for the ride as Soda got bigger and bigger.
Does NMPLOL live with Soda? You've been living with him since 2012.
10 years. We did the math. I owe him something like $172,000 in rent. Have not paid a dime. And I'm not going to.
Now when I said Chance grew up on the internet, I think it's more accurate to say he grew up streaming. He streamed all the way from when he was a teenager to a young adult from the age of 15 to 19, and what kept people coming back was 1, the gameplay, he was pretty good at PvP within WoW, and 2, unlike a lot of people that started streaming around that time, a majority of his streams he was just being himself, a goofy kid, which a lot of the time involved streaming at ungodly times on school nights and waking up his parents who weren't exactly happy his main hobby was streaming in the middle of the night.
Alright, it was just a joke. It's okay. You can go back to bed. What? I was just a joke.
Not funny.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, what's up?
Kidding.
What?
Why did you do that?
It was just a joke.
Despite Sodapoppin getting more and more popular around this time, he had to move platforms in 2012, as Xfire was quickly becoming obsolete compared to its new rival, Twitch.tv, a platform that would soon become the home of live streaming. With this, he actually managed to move a majority of his audience from Xfire over to Twitch, and he got even more viewers from the transition.
None. Oh my god, I'm at 1,000 viewers.
Soda was now a young adult, and a lot of people were watching him now. They were mainly there for his gameplay and personality combined, but some were also there to listen to his many embarrassing stories that he kept telling whilst live with no pressure whatsoever, which led to a number of his famous tales like the bus story and the hot tub jet story.
The hot tub one time, I was just sitting there and the jet turned on its own and started going against my leg. I was like, the fuck? So I went down and I started playing with this jet and I was like, what if I put my penis in it, you know, as a joke, just for fun, for lulz.
I beg your pardon?
But despite all of this success, Soda would need to make a choice quite soon. He had just graduated high school and was now in college, undecided on what he wanted to study, whilst also frequently missing a lot of his classes, because he would much rather stream at that time than go to college, and it was taking off. He was averaging thousands of viewers, people knew his name within the WoW community, and direct donations to streamers through things like PayPal was now a thing, leading him in one instance to get a total of 57k through multiple donations from a single chatter known as Amahai.
I'm done. I'm not gonna. Nope. That's not what you're supposed to do with money. Why? I'm high.
This is also around the time he started mingling with other World of Warcraft streamers like Mitch Jones, Rekful, and his ex-girlfriend, Leah, who his stream absolutely despised. There was a lot of drama there, and there's still a video of a musical rendition of how much his community hated her with over 1 million views on YouTube.
Leah's a hoe and Soda is cut by Leah the hoe. Leah the hoe.
He also had his own catchphrases that current day Sodapoppin absolutely hates, like use the shovel chance.
You know, kill a wrestler dread. Use the shovel chance! I don't fucking have a shovel!
And who could forget his absolute favourite, Pia. However, even though he was making around 6 figures at the time from his stream, his parents didn't really see this as real money. They thought a lot of it was actually fake, and the only thing they did believe was that their son was constantly ditching college so he could play games and earn said fake money. So they presented him with a choice: either he grinds college and gets his grades up, or he could continue to prioritize streaming, drop out of college, and they would basically kick him out the house. Now, Chance, being the successful streamer he was at the time, obviously chose to continue streaming, and he was now homeless. But not for long, as he would finally meet up with his online friend NMP LOL and move to Michigan to live with him, as Nick had also been thrown out the house for almost the same reason. So now Chance was fully focusing on streaming, and he only continued to get bigger as the years went on, because while streaming World of Warcraft, he made content that not a lot of people were doing around that time. But the same content he was making then would later become commonplace. He was just doing it years before most. He did one of the first IRL streams from his car, ordering Taco Bell before there was even a just chatting or IRL section on Twitch, which also resulted in probably the first ever stream snipe IRL.
What?
I have no idea.
They want to talk to me?
I think so. He said a guy with a blue shirt.
Who is this? Can I see? Hold on. Are you serious? Someone wants to... Hello? Are you serious? You're on my stream.
He even did one of the first ever dog cam streams with his dogs Buddy and Kevin. Rest in peace, that good boy.
Oh my god, this stick is huge! Where'd you get this? I'm gonna show you guys this stick that Buddy was carrying around. It's so big. Buddy, it doesn't even fit. It doesn't even fit in my room, Buddy!
However, despite World of Warcraft arguably being the game that made him, in 2015 he was getting bored of it, and the game eventually wasn't going in a direction he liked, so he wanted to stream other games. But that posed a risk that even streamers to this day have to deal with, because if you're a streamer that is known for playing a certain game and you stop streaming that game, a lot of the viewers who only watch you for playing that game are gonna tune out, leading to your viewer count significantly dropping. And long term, if you keep doing this, it may possibly significantly affect your streaming career going forward. And the only way this ever works out is if the viewer is there for them and their personality, not the gameplay. And fortunately for Chance, a lot of people were there just for him and how much of an idiot he was.
That was good. F for Nitro? That doesn't... I'm not gonna fall for that again. Run that guy over, bitch. No one drives better than me! Bah! So how do I want to get the ribcage out? What do I want to use?
He became one of the first variety streamers, and this even developed into a stream segment called Shit Show Saturday, where viewers would decide what games would be played on the stream, with a lot of them being games you'd probably refund after a few minutes.
God, that was scary! Oh, man. Dude, Cube World is a scary game. That was too loud. I don't like that.
By 2016, Chance was now averaging over 17,000 viewers. He was one of the big boys of Twitch. He was even being personally invited to events where he was the main attraction, and despite being much older, nothing much had changed. He was still the little degenerate idiot a lot of people loved.
Good riddance. Jesus. Let's play some video games. Let's do this.
He later created two of his more popular series, which was Mail Time, where viewers would send him gifts, which most times were just ridiculous items to say the least.
We gotta do it nice and slow. Don't be a glitter bomb. Don't be a glitter bomb. Slow.
Breakfast!
Oh my god, there's a spring.
And there was also Sellout Sundays, where people could donate to play videos on his stream.
Holy... I want to have sex with my dog.
Stop!
Even one of my old videos from when I was a spam cell was played during Sellout Sunday. Good times. But from 2016 to 2019 was what some referred to as the golden era of live streaming. This is when live streaming in general was becoming more popular, and we saw a lot of new streamers like Tyler1, Mizkif, Greek God X, and XQC.
I think XQC is probably going to be one of your next big boys. I think he's awesome. I think he's going to do great, and I think he's really doing a good job with picking the right games to play.
Also, a lot of these new streamers started to swarm Austin, Texas, where Soda lived with NMP LOL and Milena, Nick's girlfriend at the time, in his new house, which created the so-called Austin streamer scene where other streamers would constantly collab and network with others, and later on he had a hand in creating the so-called Poggers community, which involved a lot of new and old popular streamers. Moving on to 2020, we faced something that basically stunlocked the world for the next 2 years, which was the COVID pandemic, where people were forced to distance themselves from others and stay inside. and a lot of people still to this day think it permanently altered our brain chemistry, but it also resulted in the explosion of live streaming. More people were both watching and becoming streamers. It's also around the same time that Chance unknowingly once again changed the streaming game, because on an off day he had decided to play a certain game that had been out since 2018 and was basically dead, but because of him would soon be the game everyone was playing, with that game being Among Us.
That's a fun game.
This stupid game called Among Us. Like,
don't call it a stupid game. It's great.
Now, how do you play it? What do you do?
Yes, Sodapoppin was behind the Among Us craze. He was the first big streamer to play the game, which caused a chain reaction where many other streamers with varying size began to pick it up, resulting in it becoming one of the most viewed games on Twitch and YouTube of that time, and the game being catapulted back into relevance. Also around that time, he began to stream other games like VR Chat, which not only eventually led him to meet his now VTuber girlfriend, but he also assisted in jump-starting the game again, even though a lot of people were already playing it, because, well, let's be honest, a lot of people were lonely during COVID.
You do it all like in one bite, all whole?
Yep, just a one big sword. Like that.
Oh my god.
However, things would take a turn for the worse in July of 2020 when, unfortunately, the well-loved streamer Regful passed away at the age of 31. He was a World of Warcraft and streaming legend on top of someone Chance competed with in the early days and was pretty close with. A majority of the streamer community mourned his passing, and Chance took a week off from streaming and even posted a video on his YouTube commemorating the time they spent together, with the common sentiment being that when Chance makes it to the age of 60, he has to follow through the promise he made with Regful.
Let's come back here someday when we're old.
Okay.
Don't forget. Really though. Okay. When we're 64.
64.
Let's sit on this bench.
This bench.
Let me get a nice photo of the bench. Don't forget.
Soda would eventually return to streaming, taking part in things like Among Us games, World of Warcraft, and more VR Chat. He even debuted his very own VTuber model, which he supposedly spent a lot of money on, only to use it like 5 times, and we never saw it again. He also joined OTK around this time with many of the people he had known for years. But something had changed with Soda around 2021 to 2022, which, yeah, is obvious. He had been streaming for 10 plus years ever since he was a kid. Of course he's going to change and mature a little bit. As many were saying around that time, it seemed like he cared a lot less and was a bit more grumpy than usual.
Soda did make me, but Soda became weird then. Soda's like weird these days. He's like anti everything, like edgy Andy. I don't know what's gone to him, dude. He's like I hate everything, grumpy. Like what is happening with him, man?
Chance was getting burnt out from streaming. He had at this point been streaming consistently for a decade, and he was just tired from streaming that long and dealing with some of the brain dead people in his chat on the daily. And yes, he knew he was in a great position that many people would die for, and had always spoke about how streamers have it significantly easier than most jobs. But he felt like he was forcing himself to stream, which significantly affected said streams, and he also didn't like the way Twitch was changing.
Now, P.O. Boxes and Sell It Sundays, when I did them, was very... My chat was ruined, my view count was at an all-time high, and I hated everything about it. Did I just get hit? No, I didn't. How big is this game on Twitch? I mean, truth be told, I don't think it really matters anymore, because the just chatting section's so fucking big, and that's all that matters now on Twitch. Like, you can't actually grow as a streamer by playing games. You can just stay where you are permanently. So, if I played this game, it would be purely not a business decision, but a personal decision to try it out. That sounds really stupid to do. So business-wise, Corpa, I should not play Monster Hunter. Instead, the smart move, I should react to videos and stay under just chatting. But if I were to just play whatever I want, what would that even be? For the king? That's not good. I know. It's not good. This is bad for business. Dude, maybe I should get banned again. That's another play.
Chance would get banned on Twitch in April of 2022 for creating an in-game character that many thought was blackface and racist, but he later explained in a comment he was just trying to make it look like Mr. Potato Head, and when he realized what he was doing, he tried to move away from that, adding more things to it, which actually just made things worse. He'd get banned for 14 days, but after his ban ended, he still didn't come back. He actually began streaming a lot less in that year and the next compared to previous years, because he just didn't feel like it and preferred to play games off stream. And it's not like he had to stream, he probably made enough money to live comfortably, he just once again was tired. It would later become normal for Soda to disappear from streaming out of nowhere for days, weeks, or even months, and then he'd abruptly return, going back to streaming 8 to 12 hours daily, only to then probably disappear again.
I am back. Kind of. We'll see how long.
He also moved out of the house where he was staying with NMP LOL, ending their 10 plus years of living together, where Nick did not have to pay a single dime in rent, and Soda could also be seen taking part in OTK events, even when he was taking breaks at times. However, Chance wasn't the only one changing. As said, streaming in general was evolving. There were new personalities, new metas, viewbotting became a big problem, and there was a lot more drama which could also be used to get more views, leading to things like clip farming and other things which Soda just wasn't used to as an older streamer. And somehow this led to a conflict with the newer streamers that Soda didn't even know he was involved in.
Half these big streamers are fake! They are faking their views!
So what's the deal with you and Ron going at it? What's going on with that?
Keep going after
how do you
Ron?
not? First off, how do you not know where Ron came? Stable Ronaldo.
I'm going after Stable Ronaldo? Labs back at Sodapoppin for questioning how he and Jason the Ween became popular. Bro.
And speaking of drama, within this time period, almost everyone around Soda was involved in drama, and the so-called Austin scene or Poggers community was slowly unraveling. There was the Miskiff allegations, the NMP LOL messy divorce, Greek Godex had his own thing, and half of OTK left or were caught up in some serious allegations. There was the Lakari situation. There was the pirate software drama which originated in Chance's fucking World of Warcraft guild and was the first domino in his later downfall. It just seemed like everybody except Soda was finding themselves in drama. Yes, the guy who usually said what was on his mind and was a self-admitted degenerate was finding himself in less drama than the people around him. And if he was in drama, it was usually the most nothing burger thing that would blow over in a day. Like when he stopped streaming RuneScape or because he complained about the way streaming was in the current day. And the lack of drama surrounding Soda is probably because of the way he is. When he streams, he usually isn't putting on an act or playing a character or even pushing his content in order to raise his view count. He keeps to himself, is just himself, and is probably one of the most honest streamers on Twitch to this day. Which, yes, throughout the years has led him to admitting a few things he probably shouldn't, under zero pressure.
The thing about the fly is you gotta warm it up in the sink. Yeah. And that's a pain in the ass. You don't have to. I know you could do it cold, but that's a little weird. You know what I mean?
Not that weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a matter of the cleanup. Dude, you know what you
I've
could
never
do?
used one
All
of
right,
these.
take a banana.
Yeah.
All right, cut off about a third of it,
Right.
or depending on your size.
Right.
And then you squeeze out all of the mushy. You just need the peel. Only the peel.
Really?
Right?
I've done this before.
Microwave.
So really? Wow.
This is so degenerate.
But that is why a lot of people watched and still watch him to this day when he chooses to stream. Some of his viewers have even been around since 2013. He's grown up streaming and never really hard pivoted or attempted to be anyone else. He's always been Sodapoppin. But anyway, cheesiness to the side, Soda nowadays streams whenever he feels like it, playing random games which, for the most part, it looks like he enjoys playing. He's been doing more IRL content. Recently he showed off his new house with his 3 dogs, 2 cats, and VTuber girlfriend. And he's still friends with many of the people he came up with, seeing them regularly. And credit where credit is due, if it wasn't for Sodapoppin and coming across one of his sellout Sundays in 2018 when I was a sperm cell, I probably wouldn't be as into watching streamers as I am now, and I probably wouldn't have found other streamers to watch through him. And from my experience, he is a pretty entertaining streamer to watch. Admittedly on a second monitor though, I still don't understand how people will sit down and watch an entire stream all the way through, like come on. Anyway, this is just something I wanted to yap about today. Don't forget how much of a loser you are, and yeah, that's all I had to say, and bye-bye.